Hello, everybody. My name is David Romero Gomez, and I'm very excited to present our scope and review titled Bridging Open Innovation and Sustainability, a joint collaborative effort between Universidad Autónoma de Baja California in Mexico and Dalhousie University. We'll talk about main findings of how our review in open innovation can support sustainability, particularly in environmental restoration projects. I'll explain you what open innovation is, how we conducted this study, what the literature says, and how it matters for policy, industry, stakeholders, and managers. Ecosystems today are under severe pressure from urbanization, pollution, and climate change. Traditional restoration methods alone are not enough. We need more collaborative and adaptive approaches. That's where sustainability and open innovation intersect. Sustainability aims to conserve biodiversity, support ecosystem services, and guide sustainable urban development. But to truly succeed, it must be guided in innovation, open innovation that is inclusive. Open innovation, or OI, um, brings together scientists, local communities, policymakers, and industries to co create solutions. If instead of working in silos, stakeholders work together. This is critical in projects like river restoration, wetland conservation, or reforestation, where success depends on collaboration and local ownership. Interestingly, even though we have seen growing research on sustainability and open innovation separately, the link between OI and environmental sustainability has been underexplored. Most studies focus on engineering, ecology, or policy, but few actually analyze how open innovation frameworks can actually improve the implementation and scaling of sustainability practices. That gap is what this study seeks to address. Our goal was to map the existing literature, identify patterns and trends, and generate practical and research oriented insights. Let's now look at how we conducted the review. So, what exactly is open innovation? Well, the term means opening up the innovation process, inviting ideas, knowledge, and technologies from inside and outside an organization. In the context of sustainability, it means to go developing solutions with universities, government agencies, businesses, NGO, and local communities. It's not just about sharing knowledge, it's about aligning the goals and designing systems together. For example, in Saudi Arabia, women have been empowered to develop environmental technologies through open innovation frameworks. That's a powerful shift. Not only it is technological, it's also social and cultural. Open innovation also works in smart cities, where participation is used to shape green infrastructure, transportation, and resource use. Ultimately, open innovation helps us bring science and practice. It turns isolated research into shared solutions. In this paper, we asked how well is that happening in the literature? What are the strong areas and what's missing? So, to explore these questions, we conducted a scope and review, a type of review that maps the main concepts, trends, and gaps in a field of study. We search for peer-reviewed articles in the Scopus database using terms like open innovation and sustainability, along with related keywords. Then we applied several filters. First, we limited the time frame to the last 10 years between 2016 and 2025 to focus on recent developments. Second, we only selected documents that were categorized as journal articles, ensuring scientific rigor. Third, we focus on the social sciences category to capture the human and governance dimensions of sustainability. Finally, we included studies both in English and Spanish, especially considering the context of Latin America. After refining the search, we selected 565 articles for in-depth analysis, which forms the foundation of our performance analysis, which looks at productivity and impact, and our science mapping, which visualizes research clusters and trends. This combination gives us both a quantitative and conceptual understanding of the field. So, what did we find when we analyzed the performance in the field? The short answer is the interest in open innovation and sustainability is growing and it's impactful. Let's start with citations. The total number of citations across the 565 articles was over 7,100. And when we remove some citations, we still have 6,451, which shows strong engagement from the broader academic community. On average, each article was cited 13 times, and we found an overall H index of 40, which means at least 40 articles were cited at least 40 times, which is a solid sign of academic relevance. Next, we looked at top journals. The leader is Switzerland, Sustainability, with 107 articles, far ahead of others like Business Strategy and Environment, Environmental Science and Policy. We suggest that the conversation is centered in multidisciplinary and policy-oriented journals. Geographically, the key countries are the UK, USA, China, India, and Australia, which are actively exploring sustainability models through innovation frameworks. Additionally, in terms of funding, the European Commission, RS 2020, and the National Science Foundation in both China and the US are top supporters, which are prioritizing research that is aligned with innovation, with environmental and social goals. Beyond numbers, what we wanted to understand was how the literature is organized and conceptual. What are the main themes? What topics dominate? For this, we use science mapping tools like PostViewer. Our analysis revealed 7 distinct research clusters, each representing a different focus. We think the intersection of open innovation and sustainability. The first cluster focuses on governance and stakeholder collaboration. These studies look at how sustainability efforts are shaped through policies, public engagement, and decision-making processes. The second cluster is about environmental sustainability and human impact. Here we find studies on biodiversity, land use, and how human activities influence ecosystems. The third cluster is in dark blue. It deals with the green economy and carbon management. This is where we see research on energy efficiency, emission reductions, and green technologies. The fourth cluster focuses on circular economy and policy innovation. It covers digitalization, life cycle analysis, and resource efficiency. The fifth cluster is about strategic policy and technological development. It includes long term planning and adaptive management strategies. The sixth cluster focuses on qualitative sustainability and public perception, which are studies about how people understand and engage with sustainability problems. And the final cluster deals with urban sustainability and social development goals, which look at how cities are looking to meet the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Together, these clusters show that open innovation is being used in many different ways, from technical to social, from economic to ecological, and sustainability is being refined through collaboration.
Now, let's look at some real world cases where open innovation has made a tangible difference in environmental sustainability. These cases illustrate how theory becomes practices. In northern Thailand, community based forest restoration projects use indigenous knowledge and scientific research together through open innovation frameworks. Local people became stewards of the forest. The results not only ecological restoration, but also increased trust and participation. In Shenzhen Bay, China, wetland restoration was approached by combining ecological science with wastewater engineering. The interdisciplinary team designed a system that reduced pollution, increased biodiversity, and improved water quality. This is an example of science-based decision making at scale. Meanwhile, in West African coastal lagoons, the opposite happened. The lack of interdisciplinary collaboration has prevented research from translating into action. This highlights a major gap that open innovation could fill, breaking silos between disciplines and sectors. Together, these examples show how open innovation enables adaptive, localized, and inclusive solutions. It's not just about technology, It's about participation, co-design, and long-term thinking. So, what can we conclude from this review? First, that sustainability today is a complex multidisciplinary challenge, and open innovation can help us manage that complexity. The literature shows that innovation alone is not enough. We also need smart governance, well aligned policies, and meaningful economic incentives. The most successful sustainability initiatives are those that bring together governments, industries, researchers, and communities. For example, in the green economic cluster, we see how technological innovation is used to reduce emissions and improve energy efficiency. But adoption is still uneven due to funding limitations, institutional resistance, and fragmented regulations. In the governance and urban sustainability clusters, we found that aligning local and global goals like sustainable development goals requires cross-sector coordination, not just technical fixes. Open innovation provides mechanisms for technology transfer, crowdsourcing solutions, and public-private partnerships. However, challenges remain, especially in scaling these initiatives beyond isolated pilot projects. To move forward, we need to ask how open innovation can be embedded in policy systems, how we can incentivize participation, and how we ensure that solutions are inclusive, not just efficient. Finally, our study also identified 5 key questions that future research should address if we want to make open innovation a real driver of environmental sustainability. First, which open innovation practices are most effective in sustainability? How can open innovation be a scale for environmental restoration? What are the best ways to align academia, industry, and policy? And how to use financial incentives for sustainable investment? Finally, how to value ecosystems for long-term policy planning. These questions are not just academic, they are central to how we build a sustainable future that is both inclusive and resilient. Now, to wrap up, our scope and review shows that open innovation is not just a buzzword, it's a powerful framework for advancing sustainability, especially when it comes to environmental restoration. But it must be properly designed, supported, and scaled. We found strong evidence that open innovation can help overcome barriers like silhouette thinking, limited funding, and weak policy enforcement. It creates a space for collaboration, co creation, and community led innovation. We also saw serious gaps. Many projects remain isolated, many policies remain misaligned, and many opportunities for knowledge and change are lost due to lack of structural incentives. If we want sustainability to succeed in the real world, we must combine three forces: innovation, governance, and economic viability. That means better coordination between sectors, more flexible regulations, and long term investment models that reward sustainable behavior. Urban governance, in particular, will play a key role in the coming years. Cities are both the problem and the solution. They concentrate emissions and waste, but they also concentrate ideas, capital, and talent. Aligning urban policies with the sustainable development goals is not optional, it's urgent. So, in conclusion, open innovation can be a bridge not only between knowledge and action, but between diverse actors who must work together to address the greatest challenge of our time: building a sustainable future. Thank you very much, and I will be happy to answer any questions via text. Thank you.